So it is sure that when we leave everything into God's hand, 1, He takes over. 2, He gives us victory. 3, He makes us a wonder to our world. Hi guys, this is your girl Ofundem, and today there are 2 things you'll be more open to in the course of our discussion. 1, I'm sharing with you 5 prominent examples amongst others that put their life and everything into God's hand, and today we celebrate them. 2, in the course of our discussion, you shall be discovering some things that are worth putting into God's hand amongst others. So stay tuned to the end. Number 1 is our lovely Father Abraham. Father Abraham became a popular figure. He became the father of our nations, as we know. Why? Because he decided to put his life, his family, his challenges into God's hand. In Genesis 4 verse 1 to 3, we saw how God called Abraham. He said, leave your father's house, your properties, everything, and go to the land where I'm going to show you. And in verse 4 of that same chapter, we saw how Abraham left. I mean, that was really huge, right? So if it was some of us, we'd be like, how can we leave our properties, everything, and just go to where we don't know? But Abraham chose to leave his family, to leave his life, to leave the challenges he's facing into God's hand, or that he will face into God's hand ahead, trusting him all the way. And today, Abraham is celebrated. We wish to be like him, possess the faith he had, and just because he left it into God's hands. Number 2 is Joseph. We saw how Joseph in Genesis 39 was being seduced by Potiphar's wife. And what was his response? He said, oh no, how can I do such a great thing and sin against my God? Joseph knew by his response he was going to be put in prison, persecuted, mocked, and but what did he do? He chose to surrender his fears, surrender his worries, surrender his persecutions, surrender his doubts into God's hands, because he knows the God in whom he trusts. And we saw how in Genesis 41 how Joseph was gloriously honored, and today we celebrate him and we wish to have the kind of trust he possessed in God. Number 3 is David. David is called a man after God's heart. David always inquired of the Lord and yielded to God's voice and instructions. The most prominent example of David is his fight with Goliath. David defeated Goliath with just a stone. Why? Because he surrendered his battle into God's hands. In his word that says, you come against me with sword and spears, but I come against you in the name of the Lord. 1 Samuel 17 verse 45. And in verse 34 of it, we saw how David said to the king, Sir, you see me? I walk in my father's field. I defeat the lions. I hold them by the hair and I kill them. Why? Because I have a God in whom I surrender my battles to. He gives me victory. And today we all admire and celebrate David. Number 4, Daniel. We all know in Daniel 3 of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refused to bow down to man-made gods. In the word that say, even if our God can save us, we will never bow to your God. They knew they were going to face the fierce furnace, but they were willing to go into the fire just because they choose to surrender everything into God's hand. And we all know of the fourth man in the fire that defended them, and they left unharmed. And today they are being celebrated by everyone because of that faith and belief in God. Number 5 is Peter. We saw how it looked like Peter was tired of life. He was not making it in life. He was not making it in his career. He was not making it in his finances. He faced setback. He faced tribulation. And then came Jesus. Jesus said, Peter, cast your net into the water and you will catch fish. If it's somebody else, Peter Peter said, I've struggled, Father, all day, all night. I've thought nothing. So then you're yet telling me to cast my net into the boat and I will catch fish all of a sudden. If it's somebody else, the person will not believe that. But why? What happened? Peter decided to put his trust in God and leave it into God's hand. And then what came after the breakthrough of Peter? Because Peter had breakthrough, had fruitfulness, and today we all talk of the faith in God that Peter had. So all these are the benefits of leaving everything into God's hands. When you leave everything into God's hands, you're going to have peace, you're going to have rest, you're going to have breakthrough, and you'll be made a wonder to your world. My dear friends, Into Your Hands is coming massive. It's a song that is going to be breaking forth in every area of your life. It's going to touch every area of your life with victory, with blessings, with healing, with deliverance. So anticipate this song. Share. Tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody that God is good and in Him we trust. Thank you guys for listening to the end. Please follow me, share, tell somebody to tell somebody, and God bless you.